So it's 6 o'clock and I will call the meeting to order. Jody, would you do a roll call, please?
I will. Marge Belisle.
Here.
Katie Thurm.
Here.
Lori Belargin.
Here.
Bruce Belargin.
Here.
Cherie Link.
Here.
Roxanne Kendall.
Here.
Patricia Joe Forsberg.
Here.
All right. So our district mission, together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. Would someone care to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Marge, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Cherie. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment. So this is a meeting of the school board in public. It is not a public meeting. We allow time at the beginning of the meeting for public comment. Opinions and ideas will receive no action and will be taken without comment. This is to abide by open meeting laws. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. When you begin, would you please state your name and address? And I believe we will be starting with Danielle Erickson.
I'm just gonna, just so everybody has that, I'll give you 30 seconds. I'll let you know when there's 30 seconds, just so you can, just so you know.
My name's Danielle Erickson, 1975 62nd Street, Somerset, Wisconsin. I have 3 children here in the Somerset schools and almost a 4th. And I believe that kids here are safe, and they always have been. Are you aware that the World Health Organization doesn't even recommend universal mask wearing for kids younger than 12? It may sound strange, given a year of panic over school closures and reopenings, a year of masking toddlers, closing playgrounds, and sitting 6 feet apart, that according to the CDC among children, the mortality risk from COVID-19 is actually lower than the flu. This data will be the same no matter the variant after credible virology and epidemiologists have studied the original strain. Most remarkably, it has been known to be true since the very earliest days of the pandemic. Indeed, it was among the very first things that we did know about this virus. The preliminary mortality rate from China was very clear. To children, COVID-19 represented a vanishingly tiny threat of death, hospitalization, or severe illness. Yet for a year and a half, we've been largely unwilling to fully believe the data, selfishly creating fear in our children and threatening to continue forcing them to wear masks when school reopens in the fall. But the kids are not at risk themselves, and they never were. Are you aware that according to the current CDC data, over the course of the pandemic, that 49,000 Americans under the age of 18 have died, and that's from all causes. Only 331 have been with COVID-19, and pneumonia has claimed nearly 700 children. In 2019, more than 2,000 American kids and teens died in car crashes, and at least 1,000 kids die from drowning yearly. With the conceited selfishness of those on this board, when can we expect you to ban cars? And with the volume of drowning being 3 times that of COVID-19, I'm wondering when the school will be forced to remove the water fountains, toilets, and the sinks. Please stop the foolishness. The kids are safe, and they always have been. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Courtney Kurkowski?
My name's Courtney Kurkowski. I live at 250 Plumtree Lane. I have an immunocompromised child in the district. From the first day of the pandemic, I knew it was my parental responsibility to do what is best for her. I have never once expected or wanted someone or an entity or an organization to tell me what is best for her. Do I expect other people to be restricted because she has a medical condition? Absolutely not. I would never expect the majority of children be restricted for her minority illness. If my family needs to be masked for my daughter's health, that is my parental choice, not yours. Thank you.
Is Audrey here and ready? Are you ready? Yep.
Hi, I'm Audrey and I live at 1861 County Road I. And I think that my parents should make choices, not the school board.
Kelly Gabrielson?
I'm Kelly Gabrielson, 1571 Oak Ridge Lane in Fulton. And I am a mother of 3. I have 2 adult children, 24 and 22, and then I have my little extra gift at 11. So we are new to the district here. I think we started in 4th grade, and so with the close down, I really didn't get to know many people. And Mrs. Blargen, I don't know you at all, or people in the district. And but as a concerned mother, I did have 2 kids starting their freshman year. They're only a grade apart. My older kids started freshman year with an immune disorder. My daughter started with a serious blood platelet disorder, and that took us in and out of hematology clinic in Children's, and my sons came into the district or the school with severe spine infection with a PICC line. So crazy at that time, but at the time I would never ask other parents to mask their children if we were going through a pandemic at that time. I would definitely either pull my child out of there and have her learn at home or put a mask on herself. And so with a statistically, with a 0.003% chance that our children would actually pass from this virus, I don't think it's in the best interest with the consequences that go along with masking our children, that no one seems to look at, the mental issues, everything else. I know my little girl herself seemed to get depressed. It caused some depression. She couldn't engage with the children and see their face and that kind of thing. So, and she doesn't know that many kids in the district. It really caused an issue. And also, my oldest one, who had the blood disorder, is now a nurse and worked frontline with these COVID patients. So I'm not disregarding as a secondhand watcher of the virus. I did see the consequences from listening to her, not secondhand look. I do realize that there is a serious virus out here. I don't believe that our children are at risk though, and I ask you to seriously consider that when you are.
Seconds.
Okay, thank you. When you're making your decision, because honestly, I will pull her if the mask movement moves forward. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corey?
Morgan and I work together to bring some information to you guys. She's yielding her 3 minutes, so
my 3 minutes to
so at 5.5, give me that.
I do have stuff that I'm handing out to all of you guys.
Ready, Corey?
You got your copy.
Let's not make up policy. We're gonna use our collective
Yep.
6 minutes. And I know the clock's ticking, so while she's handing out stuff, I'll start. So the main issue for us still is not about masks. It's eggs, but the mask issue brings to a point the broader issue. So I think we've been, many of us have had so many good discussions, and so many of us, the vast majority of us, are so much on the same page as a united body of concerned parents and community members, and we represent so many hundreds and hundreds of other community members that we've talked to that are just on the same page. We have all come to the same point with the same process of just reading what news is out there, really questioning always. When this thing started a year and a half ago, we were all equally scared, and then somewhere we all took very different paths, and I think we all look back at this and go, we cannot be divided when if something like this happens again. Number one thing, we should try to learn from this. And it just is appalling to us that we're still here extremely divided in this room where we should be able to leave our personal bias, beliefs, whatever backgrounds at home, show up and have constructive conversations. So the root cause, I think, to me and a lot of us, is that we don't see constructive conversations happening on this board. There are 4 members that control and dominate and are preventing constructive conversation from happening and driving results, and not representing what so many parents have been begging, pleading, just to hear conversation. So we understand, okay, you're not allowed to talk about parent comment. All right, let's maybe rephrase that or something. You guys can talk about what you deem is issues in the community. It's your job to figure out what those issues are. You each individually bring them and you discuss them. Our voices have been silenced again and again and again, and every time you do, we get more and more frustrated. We will not back down until we are heard, and when you know you represent the vast majority, we have way more power than each of you do individually or collectively, and we know that. It's our duty as citizens to know that and to exercise it. So we're not going anywhere until we are convinced that you guys work together, you have constructive conversations about the actual issues, not hiding behind experts that claim to have the best single answers. We have been challenging the opinions from those experts ad nauseum for months, and we still have zero recognition up here in discussion from the 4 that I mentioned. That is our root cause. So a couple things to add on to that. From the, and you all took oaths to do that, and we're having some surprising email conversations back and forth about what your own policies and ethics mean, and I really would love to hear a conversation between you guys on how you interpret those ethics, because clearly there's a disconnect, and it's a major problem. So some things that jump out in Wisconsin Constitution about free speech that I think we all can relate to here. From Article 1, Declaration of Rights, free speech, Section 3 reads, "Every person may freely speak, write, and publish his sentiments in all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of that right, and no laws shall be passed to restrain or abridge the liberty of free speech or of the press." Abridge. What does abridge mean? To shorten by omission of words without sacrifice of sense. It means to reduce in scope. The sneaky little thing that I would like to call out, because by my objective evaluation, when I've been watching these board meetings for months, it's much more about what's not said than what is said. And we've all been around, we're adults, we know this sneaky little trick that's used all the time. We're not letting it slide. And another point to bring out is some of the tactics that have been going on to reduce our speech and our freedoms to publicly attend these meetings. Really, it's that hard to get this in a bigger room. I mean, if COVID's been going on for so long, we know we got to publicly distance. Why have we not had a bigger room yet? The last meeting, we were stopped here at the door at a count of 22 when Monday, June 7th, the board agreed policy was 25. So just so many little things have been adding up here, and just really want to stress that there are so many of us parents that are this close. Tonight is our night, if we're gonna put our kids in this school or not. And we really hope you change our perceptions and give us a little bit of faith, enough faith to put our kids here again. Because you have a lot of great teachers and a lot of great staff. It'd be a shame to not take advantage of that. Thank you.
Jenny Millis.
My name is Janie Millis, and I live at 536 214th Avenue in Somerset. I have 2 children who are scheduled right now to be enrolled in the Somerset School District in the fall. I have 1 child who just graduated in the past year. To say that I am disappointed in the proceedings that I have been watching over the past few months is an understatement. And honestly, tonight, I was just reminded of my disappointment. We keep telling you, you are not listening to us. We keep telling you, you have been elected to represent us. And there are some of you who continue to ignore that. Some paperwork was passed out this evening by Morgan, and I sat there and I watched as 2 of you never even looked at it because you don't care. You think your job is to sit here and make policy based on what you feel is the right thing to do. That is not your job. Your job is to represent these people. Your job is to represent us. We continue to say, parents in this district, you guys did a survey and the results are there. We are telling you what we want. The teachers and the staff of this school district have told you what they want, and you don't care. Why? Why don't you care? Why do you think that your personal opinions are more important than what we are telling you? It's like we are just butting our heads against the wall, and you're just oblivious to it. It will come back to bite you. I can tell you that, because people are sick of it. This is beyond a mask issue. Yes, I believe you need to take away the mask in the fall. You should take away the mask right away, but that's neither here nor there. One of my children is in the elementary school, and that this would affect her, and that is a big issue for me. I have my high schooler who just graduated, suffers from depression, and in the past year, because of all the different things that were in place, her anxiety levels went up the roof. She had to go into her counselor numerous times throughout the year because of anxiety attacks during school. And she told me, Mom, this is an issue. I don't like having to wear this mask in school. So you say that you want to empower, that's your statement, right? Empower the students. But you refuse to empower them to make their own medical decisions along with their parents and their medical providers. Do your jobs. Drop your personal opinions at that door when you walk in and do what you've been elected to do.
Amen. Mike Mucka.
My name is Mike Mucka. I have 2 children in the Somerset School District. My address is 2105 76th Street. My wife also works at the school district. I'd like to thank the board for their leadership on initially putting safety first for our children, but allowing our kids to go to school. Not every district over in Minnesota, they were not able to do that. Although in Wisconsin, we continue to have lower cases and lower deaths, even though we've been allowed to go without masks since May 2nd of 2020. So today I would like to share with you some information, not on the teachers who are eligible for vaccines, but for the students. So today I have information which was put out on June 11th from the CDC. And in this information, I ask you to reanalyze your thinking, because what this covers is the hospitalizations associated with kids between 12 and 17 years old, and it also covers the infection rate of children that are under 12 years old. I will leave these copies for you to look at. So for people that are under 12 years old, there have been 0.0 deaths per the Wisconsin DHS in Wisconsin. From 12 to 19 years old, there have been 0 deaths. So then I think this comes down to hospitalizations. How many people are getting sick enough to enter the hospital? So in this study, they share a very important point. And I don't want to go into conjecture, I want to go into logic into this situation. Hospitalizations in 70.6% of the cases that where a patient had tested positive, COVID was not the reason they were hospitalized. So when we look at this data, we have to pull apart that data and not include it. So across the study, where if we take the cases of pneumonia, the people that were hospitalized for pneumonia for the last 3 flu seasons, in 2017 and 2018, there was 14 per 100,000 people. In 2018 there was influenza. In 2018, it was 12 per 100,000 people. 2019 to 2020, there was 14 per 100,000 people. But COVID from 20 to 2021 had 10.29 people where they were actually hospitalized, which is less than all of the last 3 years for influenza per 100,000 people. Again, I have the mathematics here. I am an engineer with a master's degree. I have the resources here. I ask that you take a look at this and take a look at the mathematics and make your own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have one more.
Jenny Linder.
Hi, I'm Jenny Linder. I live at 2156 60th Street in Somerset. I got 4 kids here. One 12, one that is 12, but going into 6th grade, so this is going to be interesting, and then a 9-year-old. I am a dental hygienist by profession. I have worked in the field for 16 years. I went to school for 5 years, studied a lot about biology, sterilization, diseases. We've seen it all. And I am very much against these masks because they're doing nothing and they're just holding germs against our children's faces. In fact, there's research coming out of Russia right now at how much bacteria is hiding on these cloth masks. And these kids don't switch them out. I mean, they may wash them, but they're still wearing them for 3 months or 6 months. It's quite gross, actually, and they don't make a surgical mask to fit a child. It is textbook that a surgical mask is only sterile in a sterile environment for 90 minutes, and then you have to switch it out. It is textbook that a sterile mask in an unsterile environment is only sterile for 30 minutes. So the rest of the day, it's doing nothing but holding other germs against your face. Cloth masks cannot hold back the COVID-19 virus, so they are absolutely doing nothing. My son had a horrible year, getting yelled at all the time, even one day held back from recess because of not wearing his mask. My 9-year-old daughter didn't make a single friend last year. She thinks she's doing something wrong all the time at school. This is not healthy for our children. I think it is kind of abusive because who wants to sit? They sit in these masks longer than I have to. I have to wear a mask all day and I'm at work for 12 hours. I switch it out at least 16 times. I mean, these kids are in the same one for like 9 hours of the day. To me, I just can't imagine the germs on that. And they're inhaling this. This is getting into their lungs. This is how bacterial pneumonia starts. I can't keep my kid in a mask. I'll abide by COVID-19 restrictions, stay away, wash our hands, and you know what, I think I think I am very thankful for this year for one thing, and it's made parents realize not to bring their kids, sick kids, out places. Dental office is one example, keep your sick kid home. School, another example, keep your sick kid home. And I think parents have really got a newfound respect for that. So please take that into consideration.
Thank you. Mondi?
This is 2 copies of this stuff.
I am Mondi Belargin. I go to Somerset, and my address is 592 Chandler Avenue. I love Somerset. I've been going here ever since I was in kindergarten, and I have a lot of friends here. But at the rate that you guys are doing these masks and stuff, I'm not going to Somerset next year, most likely, and I'm probably going to go online. I've been called out a lot of times for not wearing my mask correctly in front of like my whole class, and a lot of other kids have been not wearing their mask correctly, so I feel like I've been targeted. I've also been close contacted 3 times before, and that was in the beginning of the year when everybody was all wearing their mask correctly and stuff. And then towards the end of the year, nobody was wearing their mask correctly. Everybody had it below their nose, and then nobody got close contacted, nobody got COVID, and nobody got sent home, at least like that I know. I just want to go here and graduate with the people that I grew up with, but I don't think I'll be able to do that. And that's about it.
Anton?
Hello, my name's Anton Ring. I reside at 465 Highland View in Holton within the Somerset School District. I'm a parent of 2 children who will be attending school this fall, one entering the junior kindergarten program and the other graduating up to 1st grade. I'm here tonight because after watching the recording of last week's meeting, I had to speak up with my concern for the health of my and our children. I don't represent any organized group. The survey that was sent out to parents didn't provide a choice to follow the federal or state health guidance for schools. The CDC's summary on masks is quite succinct. Masks should be worn indoors by all individuals aged 2 or older who are not fully vaccinated. I understand that the school does not want to have to distinguish between students who are and who are not vaccinated. This is reasonable. In that case, the safest option is to require masks for all. It does make sense to allow vaccinated teachers to go maskless, of course. I've heard an argument that anyone can choose to wear a mask. This is true. But it's important to remember that cloth masks are not primarily a tool to protect oneself. That's why I'm wearing a mask tonight, despite being fully vaccinated. There are N95 and similar masks which are protective, but these are not the masks that children will be wearing, and asking younger children to closely fit a mask themselves is unreasonable. Cloth masks are a tool to protect others by trapping the majority of larger exhaled droplets before they disperse into the air. Our children rely on us to keep them safe. The CDC recommends requiring masks indoors for unvaccinated children and adults, as does the Wisconsin Department of Health and the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. Many school districts in Wisconsin have chosen to require masks this autumn, and I urge you to do so as well, particularly at the elementary school, where likely 100% of children are unvaccinated. If you do choose to make masks optional, and certainly the guidance may change over time based on the science and our local situation, I urge you to require masks for children until students have had the opportunity to be fully vaccinated. Our school district has relatively low vaccination uptake. 43% of residents have had at least 1 dose of vaccine, compared to 58% in the Hudson School District, or 75% in Madison. Our community is at correspondingly higher risk. Let's do our best to protect our children, and that helps to protect the broader community where we all live. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine O'Connor?
Yes. My name's Christine O'Connor, and my address is 547 Homestead Trail. And I do not have children currently in the school district. My children did go here. I have godchildren that are here. and my tax dollars go to support this. And I have tremendous concern. I have spent the last year studying, researching as much as I can on the medical side of the COVID, also the political side, which has definitely interfered, and the spiritual aspect. And I am with a group of moms that we prayed when our kids were in school. We get together once a week and we pray over all these issues. And one of the biggest concerns that I have, or that I came last week, was my first meeting, and what I noticed, I'm not affiliated with the group, but is the amount of fear that people still have about COVID, and especially with children who have next to zilch chance of dying from it, and this medical tyranny that's pushed on them, the fear that's pushed on them. And like many have mentioned tonight about the medical aspects of the masks, and there are many doctors. So what I was going to say is I believe there's maybe 3 issues with people with this board. One is fear, and we have a business in Stillwater. There still are many people that are just deadly afraid of this virus that has 29 therapeutics for it now. And the number one that was squelched because of political issues was the hydroxychloroquine, Regeneron, and then the ivermectin. The countries that used the hydroxychloroquine, and actually even the more recent Delta variant, they said was coming out of India, was it? Once they got them on the hydroxychloroquine and the ivermectin, their rates dropped. But for the children who are not going to die from it, this idea of masking them, there are so many reports out there. So for those of you, maybe it's not fear, but maybe you're just not educated, or maybe you have fear because you have not looked beyond your political, what you've listened to, or just what you've been listening to for medical reasons about this. There are thousands of doctors who have been squelched for speaking up about the therapeutics, and now a year and a half later, they're found out that they work, and there are more and more that are coming forward with this. So I recommend schools are to care about the children. I believe you're here because you care about children. And I also believe that as educators, you need to do the same thing you require of students, is check all the sources, not one. And the amount of suicides is horrendous. I have tons of videos, tons of information I can bring to any one of you who want to know. I have one more thing to say, then I let go.
Thank you. Melanie Richard.
Hi there, I'm Melanie Richard. I reside at 2103 80th Street. I have 2 children in Somerset School District. I have a son who's going to be a senior, and he will still attend Somerset, and I have a daughter who's going to be a freshman and who is actively working to leave the school district. A reason for that is because you guys didn't really care that she was bullied by her teacher all year, and she suffered from mild depression over the years. She would take lots of naps every single night, didn't keep her room tidy. When asked about how it was going, she would say, I'm fine, and that's just how it was all year long. It's really sad because what happens with COVID is people care about the medical side of COVID. We all care about pushing the mask, staying away from people, not living our lives. Nobody wants to talk about the depression, the anxiety, the alcoholism in adults, the drug abuse, the loss of jobs. Nobody wants to talk about that. That's ugly too. That's just as bad as the regular medical side of COVID. I work in healthcare. I don't push my personal views on anybody that I treat. And that is something that you as elected officials should not do either. When you may work in the medical field, and that's fine. My patients get that choice. If they choose to get the vaccine, great, good for them. I've had COVID. That vaccine does not do jack for me. I have natural immunity. You know, we hear about let's listen to the doctors. I have lots of doctors who send me people who can't interpret viral labs. So, you know, I have a problem with listening to some of these doctors because some of these tests are false positives too. As far as the mask thing goes, you know, it is a choice, and I applaud him for wearing his mask tonight because you have a choice. And so do I. And so do all of us. And you as a parent, that is your choice to keep your child safe. And my kid never had close contact all year long, and she wore her mask under her nose on her last class of the day because she wanted to breathe fresh air. That teacher targeted her all year long, and none of you care about that. You just care about pushing an experimental vaccine on children. It is not FDA approved. It's not FDA approved for adults. So no, I'm not gonna get my children vaccinated, and if you choose to do that to your children, great. I applaud you for doing that, but my kids are not lab rats, and they are not gonna die of COVID. They're healthy kids. So no, I'm not doing it. And for an educational facility, you should not be pushing it either. So allow the parents to have a choice. Allow them to do what's right for their children. If there's kids that wanna wear masks, great. If that's how they feel comfortable, let them do it. My kids will not. And a part of that is because of the bullying aspect from the teachers in your school district. The other is I work in healthcare. I don't allow my personal views to get in the way when I treat people, and you should not do the same when you are here elected by the people. So there's a lot of personal views that are getting pushed on people here through the board to everybody else, and we don't want it anymore. So listen to us. That's it.
We have 2 red cards left here, and Dr. Bezic has informed me that he would like an opinion from the board, because apparently people outside continue wanting to fill in the red cards. So what is the wish of the board? Do we listen, continue this until everybody who wishes to speak has spoken, or do we? Our policy says we cut it off at 20 minutes, and we are at nearly 40. So I would like to hear the wishes of the board.
I think we represent them and we need to hear what they have to say.
I agree.
Yeah, I can keep going, that's fine.
Katie?
I mean, I think we know what they have to say.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if we could just move on. But we have their red cards. We have a choice.
I know, wouldn't that be nice if we could just move on?
And Marge?
I don't think we have a choice, so we might as well keep going all night. It just.
All right, Dr. Bezic, you heard the.
Yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine. I just didn't know what you wanted to do, so that's fine.
All right. Emma Day. Emma Day. All right. Oh, are you Emma?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hello, my name's Emma Day, and my address is 420 Abbey Lane, and I came here to talk about how last year I did not like that we had to wear a mask. I do not like wearing masks, and also I really want to see my teachers' smiles again. And I think we should let our parents decide if we need to wear a mask or not. And that's it.
Thank you, Abby. Emma, sorry.
Emma from Abby.
Alicia Walzak.
All right, I am Alicia Walzak. I live at 611 232nd Avenue in Somerset. I'm a parent of 2 students in Somerset. I don't have much to say except for my daughters will not be going to school here. I can't believe I'm saying this, but they will not go to school here if this doesn't get changed. The masks need to be optional. That's it. I mean, we are the parents. I'm sorry, I know you're looking out for them, but no, masks need to be optional, and I know I'm not the only one. I know if I ask all the parents that are in here, out there, at home, watching on Zoom, all the parents that filled out that survey, you know what we want. You ask them, what happened? What are the consequences if a majority of the students don't come to school at Somerset because you're making masks mandatory? What happens? What are the consequences? Because it will happen. It will happen. So please, listen to us.
Thank you, Alicia. We're done. Okay.
I know, I don't think you know what we're gonna say, Katie.
We are at the conclusion of the public comment portion of the meeting. And we are to item 5 on the agenda, policy review. Marge, since you made the motion to have this special session, do you have a motion that you would like to make?
I have 2 motions, actually. The first one is I move to allow wearing of face mask coverings to assist the control of COVID as optional as of July 20th, 2021. That's my first motion.
All right, so Marge has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bruce. Is there, are there any questions or comments about?
Can she repeat that motion?
Yeah, I would like to.
Sure, go ahead. Would you repeat the motion, please, Marge?
To allow the wearing of face masks or coverings to assist in the controlling of COVID-19 as optional as of July 20th, 2021.
Perfect, thanks.
All right, any questions or discussion amongst the board members?
Mask wearing will become optional tomorrow.
Correct. That's-
Yep.
Yes,
Does this K-12, E-12, or does this circumvent any of the?
It's already optional in the high school.
Right, but I
Yeah.
mean, with the last change we had was 2 weeks after vaccinations become
vaccination.
optional, or become available. So is this?
It's just.
This is, okay, optional for?
Yep, anybody.
Okay.
This trumps the policy, is what you're saying?
That's what I was just asking, so, and that's your intent?
Yep.
any?
So is there so it's as of tomorrow, and then it's until it comes back to the board, until things change, until we bring it back to the board? Is that your intention?
Just done as of tomorrow,
Done.
and then I have a second part of it, but after we vote on this part of it.
Okay. So
I just
it's
want to
really-
be
so
clear
it's-
based on the wording. So is it just, I mean, I just want to make sure we're clear before we vote. It's just.
That we're done wearing masks.
We're done,
It's
masks optional, effective
Um,
tomorrow.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing else. 'Cause, I mean, you prefaced it with some information about COVID. I just want to be clear.
Just, that's what the face masks do, and I'm still of that opinion, that they do help control. I'm still of the opinion that washing hands, wearing face masks, and social distancing is to control COVID and the Delta virus that's coming out. I just want you all to know that Florida and California have just reinstated their mask policies, so it's gonna be coming back, but the next time around, it'll be the government that'll tell you, not us. No.
No,
Yes.
they will not.
And you will
This
be
is
quiet.
a
It-
public meeting of the board.
You need to be
It is
quiet.
not a public meeting.
That's right.
So the discussion is among the board. Are there any other comments or questions amongst the board?
For Patty, where I am in Clark County, Nevada, they have also recommended all masks for even vaccinated people indoors, including the city of Las Vegas. And I just want to note that the American Academy of Pediatrics today said that children should be wearing masks.
I'm sorry, Patty Jo, the the American Academy of Pediatrics said what today?
Today they said they recommended that children continue to wear masks. The board, the American Academy of Pediatrics.
That children
2 and over.
2 and over, okay.
So this time, with the knowledge that we have, we're basically saying masks are optional. Is it?
Yep.
For the school year and just through the district at this time?
Yes.
Okay. No. Any other?
Did anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, roll call vote.
Roxanne, do you want me to do it?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
go
didn't mean
ahead.
to speak out of turn. Roxanne,
So I just want to be clear, I'm going to vote yes or no. Yes means I support your motion?
Yep.
Okay, yes.
Sheree?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Lori?
No.
Katie?
No.
Marge? Yes. You said yes?
Yes.
Okay. And Patty Jo?
No.
Okay, so that motion passes 4-3. And then Marge, you said you had a second portion?
That the board authorizes administration in conjunction with building principals to implement wearing masks again if the COVID numbers rise, and also if the federal government or the state government requires masks again, then they will be put back in place.
Can I ask a question? No?
No.
Okay.
So the,
Regarding COVID-19 and the Delta virus.
so regarding, and I'm sorry, did you say that this was a motion for the policy?
If, to amend policy 8450.01, that at such time that the cases rise again, that the administration will be able to make the decision about wearing masks. If they need to be, if everything gets bad again like it did, and they don't have to come to the board to get a okay to wear the mask.
Can develop their own policies?
Yeah,
What you're saying?
the administration,
Metrics?
yeah. The district administration.
I would second that
Yeah.
motion.
So we have a motion on the table by Marge, and Katie has seconded it. So one of my questions, you know, if we're gonna make masks optional, one of my concerns is that, you know, my main goal in this entire time was to keep our school district open.
Yeah.
Because I think we all do agree that kids learn best in person with their teachers and their support staff and their peers. So one of my main concerns in making masks optional is allowing a quick pivot, if necessary, in order to keep our doors open. That is my #1 priority. So I don't want to be in a position where administration has to call a board meeting and have a board vote. I want our administrators to be able to act quickly to keep our doors open. That is my #1 priority.
So, Mark, you wanted to?
Just a comment, and I totally support what you're getting at there, because basically that's how we had to operate last year.
Right.
You know, everyone's traveling on new ground here, so we implemented the reopening committee, and we did a lot of surveying, and looked at what the MBC was doing in other districts, and CDC, DHS, DPNI, what they're recommending. St. Croix County Health will still follow that same process, but hopefully with this we'll be able to
make
things happen. But I think there'll be a larger, we had that one meeting with the reopening committee. I think we'll engage more, so we have more input into the decision that makes it. But totally agree with that, and I'm fine with that. We were kind of on that path last summer anyway, because we know what to expect.
So I'm assuming you would develop some metrics?
There are metrics out there, but again, it'll be new this time. There's some districts that had developed that before around us that were using that.
Yep.
But every other week they were changing their metrics because no one knew what direction this was going in. I think we'll be better prepared this next year to make these judgments. And I agree, Lori, depending what happens with this, who knows, we just have to be able to react quickly. And none of us want to put anybody in harm's way or what have you, but you know, we'll just have to monitor as we go, you know, and that's done bi-weekly, you know. Ryan did a heck of a job this last year. He's, he'll do a heck of a job for us again. So we're well connected. So I'm fully in support of what you're.
So who from the district will have input on that?
Well, last year we put together a reopening committee. We had, can't remember the exact makeup. We had a lot of staff on that, community, parents, and that's what really put our direction, you know, moving forward for reopening the school last year. And again, knock on wood, I think we made good decisions. The school stayed open through some really tough times. And we learned a lot, and I think we can do the same thing this year. I feel very comfortable taking that on.
But if you're talking about a quick pivot and we're talking about a reopening committee and trying to get a lot of people on board, I mean, I like putting in your court, hearing from what you guys have to say and your metrics and setting, but I think personally it doesn't take much for a 48-hour heads up meeting for the board to say, all right, you know, administration, throw us your feedback, and then again we come up with a decision. I mean, obviously if you feel a certain way, and I don't have a problem listening, I just would rather, I guess maybe bring it back to the board before we just put it all on your shoulders to make the call. I would love to hear it, but you gotta say I'm probably gonna be supportive of that, as you've heard from all that stuff.
The thing is it should be on my shoulders.
Okay.
You know, but you guys have to be in on it. You know, you have to be advised of what's happening. But, you know, our administrative team can snap together in a couple hours and sift through what we need to do. I mean, if we have to act that quick. But again, that should fall on our shoulders. I mean, we're the ones that should be taking this.
So by making that change in the policy, then we would officially say, give you the authority.
Right.
Can I add to that? In our policy 8450.01, the first paragraph, we end with a reference to our policy 8420.01. I'm not finding it in our policies.
Yes,
and
you are correct.
Okay.
And I contacted Neola today.
Well, it's interesting because when I went to look for it, I found Clear Lakes 8420.01, and I think it's a great template for us to look at.
Chris Petrito, our Neola contact person, dropped it in our drafts today so that we can take a look at it.
Okay, so just for people listening's benefit, it talks exactly, Marge, about what you mentioned about putting more responsibility on the administration in making these decisions. And I read it and thought, wow, this really does support what you just mentioned. So it's just a good place to start. I didn't know that you guys received that.
Just this afternoon, we haven't had a chance to look at it. And it's not a required policy, so we could just eliminate that language from policy 8450.01. So the policy committee will have to take a look at it and make a recommendation to the rest of the board.
So
I would recommend, I mean, I know, but just for purposes of the policy committee meeting, I think it would be important to keep it in there if it does reflect what I'm reading here from the Clear Lake School District.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm just.
And I have no idea how much, if any, Clear Lake modified it, so I need to look at the original.
Very good.
From Neola.
So I'm guessing, Mark, you would be keeping us up to date anyway on this is what's happening, this is where we're going, so we're all on the same page, and if we, I mean, like I said, we can always call a special session if needed, or you guys can make the call. So that you want that on your shoulders?
Who else is it gonna go on?
Well, I'm just saying if you wanted to, I mean, again, is it, you recommend something
It's an
that we will.
administrative, it should go right here with my team.
Okay.
And again, we learned a lot last year. You know, we surveyed the heck out of people, and it's, I think, the only reason why we got through last year. And again, you know, we'll get through this year too.
Any further comments or questions from the board?
So are we clear in that language though?
Yeah, I was like, can you read read that, and I guess.
My name's all over it with this.
Yeah, well, I think all the administrators are,
Marge, do you
Or
have something?
Jody, or whoever, I
I
guess.
can read
document
what
is.
I typed,
Okay,
and then you can
Or
tell me how
Marge
to
can-
edit it, if that works, or if you.
that sounds good.
Okay. Amend policy, okay, so the second motion is to amend policy 8450.01 to the board authorizes administration in conjunction with building principals to authorize the use of face coverings in regard to COVID-19 and Delta virus in the rise of cases and if also mandated by federal or state mandates.
Mm.
so does that replace, if you're looking at 8450.01, paragraph 5?
I don't have the policy in front of me.
You want me to share mine with you, Jody? That says, in addition, the board authorizes the district administrator to require that students shall wear a face covering unless they are outside to do so for a health or developmental reason. Efforts will be made to reduce any social stigma for a student who, for medical or developmental reasons, should not wear a mask.
Can I
Or-
ask if it would be easier for your meeting Monday night to amend the policy and bring the policy back to that board meeting for a vote?
I think that's a great idea.
So you could see the language written?
Yeah.
We can, let's,
So Marge has made a motion and Katie has seconded, and now you're asking if it
Where
can
the
be
policy.
tabled for, until next Monday's meeting?
Well, I wouldn't mind passing it tonight, but then we can see it in writing tomorrow or
At next Monday?
Yeah.
So
And-
pass it in concept and then make sure we firm up the language.
Yeah, maybe in the
correctly?
policy,
All right,
8450.01.
all right.
And I like that, and I think we should, ensure that we're managing that both directions. I was just so sad to hear that that student was bullied or felt bullied by a teacher for not having her mask on correctly. So I want to make sure that students are protected on both sides, that nobody's getting a hard time, whether they have a mask on or don't have a mask on. We just need to be allowing that choice to happen, and kids need to be kind.
Well, agreed, that was not something that came to the board though.
Yeah, okay.
In the, so I just.
Good.
All right, so we have a motion on the table and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, then, starting with Cherie, would you do a roll call vote, please, Jody?
You want me to start with Sheree?
Yeah, you're supposed to start with a different person.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, Sheree,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Marge,
Yes.
Patty Jo,
Yes.
and Roxanne.
Yes.
All right. Marge, was there anything else?
No.
Okay.
Can I ask Marge, you made the first motion, who seconded the first motion?
Bruce.
Thank you.
I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting then.
I will make a motion.
Thank you, Cherie. Is there a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Marge. All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Motion. The meeting is adjourned at 6:59. Thank you.